Alright, for I loops, not to get confused with for IV loops. These two are basically from the same family, they're both for loops, but each one of them work completely differently. So let's focus on this first one because this is the one I put in the title of the video. So what is this? Well, it's basically a loop that repeats a specific amount of times, while also seeing on which number you are on. It's basically the same counter loop that I made in the previous video, except this is way more understandable and it's even better in terms of performance. But how do you use it? Well, first type in for so that Roblox Studio knows you're starting a loop, a for loop. Now type in I is equal to 1, 10, then type in do to start the actual loop and then press enter. Now type in the code that you want to repeat a specific amount of times and close your loop with an end at the end. Okay, that's great and all, but what does this I equals 1, 10 even mean? Let me quickly explain. It basically is a measurement for how many times the loop should repeat, starting from the first number, number 1, all the way to the second number, number 10. So if you had something like this, it would print 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and lastly, it would print out 10. And if you run the game, we should get the exact thing that I said. If you had, for example, 3, 10, it will start from the number 3 all the way to number 10. So instead of printing all the numbers from 1 to 10, it will print all the numbers from 3 to 10. You can also add a third number up here, which will tell Roblox Studio how much it should increase the variable I. So if I add another comma and, for example, the number 2, and run our code, we will get the numbers 3, 5, 7, 9. And then our loop will stop, because if you try to add the number 2 to our 9, we will get the number 11. And because 11 is larger than number 10, it will stop looping and continue with our code. You can also put negative numbers, but if you put in a negative number on the third place, then make sure that your first two numbers are going from the largest number to the smallest number. So instead of typing 3, 10, we have to type in 10, 3, because 10 is the bigger number compared to 3. And if you run the game, we will get the numbers 10, 8, 6, and 4. Alright, now let's see some examples besides the ones I just showed you. Let's make a loop that changes the color of our part a few times. So let's define our part, and then let's start our loop. First type in for so that we know we're starting a for loop. Then let's change the color of our part, for example 5 times. So let's type in I is equal to 1, 5. Now let's type in do, and now simply just change the part's brick color to a random color, just like this. And also don't forget to add a task.wait, because we want to actually see our part change color and not just instantly finish our code. And now let's see what happens if you run the game. Well, just like we planned, our part actually changed color a few times, which is pretty damn cool. Alright, now let's see a way cooler example, but a little bit more complex. So let's try making gold fall from the sky with a for I loop. So let's remove this and this. And now to do our task, we have to create a part, then change some properties so that it actually looks like gold, and additionally move it in the sky so that it doesn't spawn into the ground. Alright, sounds simple, but how do you create a part? First, let's make a variable inside of our for loop, and let's name it something simple. And now, because a part is actually an instance, as we learned in the first episode, let's type in instance with a capital I. And now we need to create a new instance. So just like with brick color and vector 3, let's type in .new. And now simply inside of our parentheses, let's type in the string part, just like so. And now, because we created a part out of thin air, Roblox Studio doesn't know where the part should be located. Better said, the property called parent for our new part isn't set to anything. And if you compare it to the part that we spawned in, we can see that the parent of our part is workspace. So let's make the parent of our part equal to workspace, just like so. Alright, and now let's see if this actually worked. If it does, then it should spawn in some parts. And it did, which is super cool. But our gold isn't actually gold, and overall it's ugly. So let's fix that by changing some properties in our part. Let's first change the material property of our part to metal. And let's also change the size of our part to something smaller, just like this. And let's also make it spawn in the sky instead of directly on the ground. And also don't forget to change the color of our part to gold. And now once you press run, we should get a bunch of gold. And would you look at that, now we're officially a millionaire. And that's pretty much it for iLoops. If you understood the explanation, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on. And also comment down below if you're confused about anything so that I can explain it to you guys. Now here's the challenge. Try making a countdown using print. Then when the countdown finishes, you spawn in a bunch of blocks, and when you stop spawning in blocks, you print some message saying that it finished making the blocks. And once you complete the challenge, then don't forget to prove it to me by going in the Discord server down below and sending the message #challenge6 in #creations. And now, see you guys very soon.